Research scientist and aerospace consultant Ben McGee talks with us about commercial space exploration and his role on the new NatGeo television show, Chasing UFOs. We also talk about UFOs at the Olympics, life discovered on Titan, and the latest UFO and space news right now on Spacing Out.
Greetings everyone and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Ellsbury. Today we're excited to talk with Ben McGee.
Ben is the principal research scientist and founder of Astrorite, a spaceflight consulting company. He also stars in the upcoming NatGeo show, Chasing UFOs. It's fun talking with Ben about UFOs as well as the current state of space exploration.
Yeah. But that's coming up later in the show. Now it's time for UFO news.
Watch for UFOs at this summer's Olympic Games in London. At least that's what former British Ministry of Defense UFO investigator Nick Pope says.
Pope recently suggested that mass summer events like the upcoming Olympic Games are the perfect time for extraterrestrial UFOs to present themselves to humans. And according to the Daily Mail, Pope proposes that if aliens have studied our psychology, they may choose to appear in our skies on a significant date. The closing of the Olympic Games is one date being widely circulated by conspiracy groups.
The Toronto Sun reported that, according to a local bookie, someone recently placed a £15 or $23 wager that a UFO would appear above the Olympic Stadium on the night of the opening ceremony. Based on Pope's statement, this gambler should perhaps have gone with the closing ceremony rather than the opening ceremony.
If a UFO does make an appearance at the Olympics this summer, and if the pilots of said UFO turn out to be hostile, Pope says defense plans are already in place. Space shuttles, lasers, and directed energy weapons are all committed via the Alien Invasion War Plan to defense against any alien ships in orbit.
But if Jill Tarter of the SETI Institute is correct, defense won't be necessary. She recently opined that extraterrestrials who visit Earth are unlikely to be hostile and would only be here to explore.
So, I mean, this isn't a big surprise to me because I think we just had a couple months ago the whole thing of, it seems to be a trend in the UK because UFOs were predicted also over the wedding of Prince William and Duchess Kate.
It's easy to predict UFO sightings over populated events.
Populated events, any sort of weird weather anomaly. I mean, that's pretty easy because guarantee you that somebody will spot something that they're not sure what it is and we'll hear about it.
But perhaps more interesting is this comment by Nick Pope, saying that there's this alien defense plan.
How come nobody has talked about this before? I haven't heard of this before, have you?
No, I haven't. I need to do some research into it, and we certainly need to talk to Nick Pope and ask him more about this.
Definitely. I mean, do they have lasers set up towards the Olympic Stadium? Was this something that was put in place for the actual Olympics, or?
It's probably just in general, but regardless, that's pretty interesting.
UK's got some interesting things going on. So, yeah, it'd be cool to find out more about that.
Yeah.
A UFO appeared in the sky above the Middle East on June 7, 2012. The strange object was seen by witnesses in multiple countries, including Israel, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, and Iran. Many witnesses recorded video of the UFO that, as Universe Today described, started out looking somewhat like a comet and then started spiraling.
MSNBC reports that Israeli police lines were jammed by hundreds of witnesses calling to report the UFO. The object's strange appearance led many to conclude that it was an alien spacecraft entering some sort of wormhole or time portal. But according to Universe Today, the strange sight has been confirmed to be a Russian ballistic missile. It was a test of the Topol ICBM from the Kapustin Yar firing range near Astrakhan in southern Russia. And space analyst Jim Oberg told MSNBC that the Topol's third stage spin is a feature, not a malfunction, and may be associated with guidance or decoy deploy or enhancing hardness against U.S. boost phase anti-missile weapons.
That's a mouthful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I mean, we've seen these so many times, and they always get stopped as being weird, unidentified objects. But to me, when I see that specific spiraling shape, I immediately think missile. I mean, we saw this with the Norway spiral with...
yeah, back in 2009 with Norway. Again, just well, I guess it was May of 2011. There was another one. It was a Russian, another Russian missile.
And was that seen over China, or am I wrong on that?
It's possible. There have been so many of these spirals. And in fact, on last week's episode with Mark D'Antonio, he brought up the spirals and talked about what causes this spiral appearance.
Yeah, and even hearing now that it's not a failed launched missile, it's interesting. But, I mean, that's a red flag for me right away. Whenever I see spiral, I'm going to think missile first until...
most likely.
Find any missiles to blame.
Would like to point out that even the experts commenting on this, not all of them seem to agree in their description of why the spiral is taking place. And I will give credit to the media because a lot of the reports about this have said that it is likely a missile.
Correct.
Even though there was a missile launched, they're very careful to say that that is the likely identification, but they're not saying concretely because with a lot of these aerial things, we don't know 100% with certainty what they are. Most likely it was this missile, but could be something else.
Could be. All right, here's a strange story for you. Werner Bach, a Canadian farmer, has lost at least 250 cows in the past 10 years. Although the government is charging Bach with animal neglect, he asserts he isn't to blame for the cow's demise.
All right, so the Huffington Post reports that Bach has posted videos on YouTube for years, detailing his cattle's malnourished appearance, sunken features, and hair loss. But Bach claims his cows are the victims of an alien death beam. Bach explains that this alien weaponing targeting his cattle functions by manipulating the air into a death beam focused on the nose of the animals. He claims that when the cows breathe in this death beam, they slowly die.
At a pretrial meeting on Monday, June 11th, Bach reportedly wanted to call veterinarians and police officers to testify on his behalf. But then the judge pointed out that all those people were already testifying against him. And according to the Huffington Post, one of the vets Bach wanted to call to testify on his behalf apparently found no evidence of burns on the cows. A police officer he wanted to call apparently assured him there were no aliens flying in the airspace above his farm. Now, when I first heard about this story, I was kind of pissed off. I mean, it's 250 cows in 10 years. And I watched, I gotta say, I watched one of his videos that he's posted it on YouTube. They're all like 10 minutes in length. And he shows these burns he thinks are caused by these death beams and these round burns. And then after they die, he cuts them open and then has shown what he feels are hemorrhaging and other things on vital organs. But the strange part about this is that clearly whoever's coming out to investigate this, vets or whatever, are not finding evidence of any sort of
anything strange, just malnourishment and mistreatment of the animals. Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting case, and I will say that we know, our good friend Chuck Zukowski and other paranormal investigators have gone out and found many really strange things with some of these cattle mutilations. But in this case, and I was shocked by the 200 plus number of cows with this too. I don't know what the typical number of lives lost for these cattle farmers. 10 years is a long time, and they have a lot of cows, so I don't know how many usually die in that time period. It seems like a lot to me.
Right. Well,
but something that surprised me is why he's not having vets come out and take care of the animals. Because, if the vets are determining that it's just malnourishment or they're not being taken care of, then if he really did care for his animals, he would get them treatment, give them medicine, give them food, get them on an IV or something. I don't know, but...
Well, I want to know, if they've gone out to take soil samples, maybe something's in the soil or the water up there that's causing hair loss. I know some of them were perfect circles, but, these are things that all need to be tested before you have such large alien death ray claims. I saw somewhere else, too, that he was saying local military did as well, and maybe it wasn't alien in nature. And he also claims that he actually saw a red beam, which he says was the exact same size of what the burns were happening on the cows.
Right. One of his theories is that it might perhaps not be aliens doing it, but alien technology that the Canadian mounted police are using and keeping secret from everybody. It's an interesting case, and hopefully they have somebody there who can properly investigate this case.
Well, it sounds like he's probably just going to get the book thrown at him in this case.
Well, I hope so, because in this case it does look like it's his fault, just animal neglect, but who knows? In space news this week, a company is aiming to establish the first human settlements on Mars. How awesome is that? Mars One's goal is to establish a human colony on Mars by April 2023. The plan calls for 4 astronauts to be sent on a one-way trip to Mars, with new teams of 4 astronauts arriving every 2 years following that. The aggressive timeline established by the company details plans to land a supply ship on Mars in October 2016. A robotic rover will land in 2018 with the goal of exploring the planet for the best location to establish the first colony. Living units, life support units, and storage units will be sent to the planet in 2021, where rovers will move everything into place and prepare the colony for the astronauts' arrival in 2023.
Where Mars One will find people willing enough to sign up for a one-way ticket to Mars is unknown, but according to the company's website, they have already received many emails from people wanting to sign up. The company claims this mission to Mars will be the biggest media event in history, and it appears they plan to rely really heavily on the media, almost to the point of making the mission into a reality TV show. No surprise there. Mars One explains that because these astronauts will be Earth's representatives on Mars, it will be crucial to have them chosen by the population of the world. In true reality TV fashion, humans will be able to vote for his or her favorite contestant. During astronaut training, the company claims that all broadcast footage will be live so that everyone can watch their favorite candidate, and all participants are portrayed equally and objectively.
Mars One is not accepting astronaut candidates just yet, but when they are ready, and they're hoping to be ready by sometime in 2013, they'll announce it on their website. I'm not surprised that a lot of people are claiming to be interested now, but I think when it comes down to it, you're going to have many fewer people willing to do that one-way ticket. It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I love the idea, and I hope people do it. I mean, colonizing Mars is very exciting.
Here's the thing. I don't think people are really taking into their knowledge here is that one-way ticket means you're headed there for life, the rest of your life. That's the point.
Well, some people have suggested, because it's one-way ticket, they need old people because you're just going to die there. But they need young, strong people
what they'd want to do is have the young people there who are going to thrive and produce. I mean, let's wait for the first baby born on Mars. That'll be an interesting section. I don't know whether they're planning on sending that. You'd have to send doctors up as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they would. I mean, they're going to do a very rigorous testing process. They're going to do and training and all that, and really weed out, and they're looking for the best of the best.
Right.
And that's what you want when you're trying to start a new colony. So yeah, I would assume they'd want somebody who's very good with, agriculture, and somebody who's good with medicine.
Well, and I posted this on I was just on my Facebook, and I got a huge response. Some people were really excited. Yeah, heck yes, when can I sign up? I'm ready to go. I don't care if it's a one-way ticket. I'll give up all my earthly pleasures. And then other people were kind of in the sense of, are you kidding me? I'm not going to be a guinea pig and get sent off to Mars to be the first colonists. And we need to fix our planet on Earth here before we, go off somewhere else. So it was interesting reaction.
I'm a big supporter of space exploration, and I really want us to get to Mars, and we've got Curiosity and other missions on the way and currently exploring Mars, but we can't truly explore a place, I think, unless we're actually there. And
for long periods of time.
Mars, it's not really feasible to go there and come back. I mean, the best thing to do is to go there and...
Yeah, and that's the other question. How long of the flight is it to Mars again?
It's not very long. I think with their particular plans, I think it's something like 9 months.
And they also claim that they already have supporters and sponsors, and they've gone to all these different space companies, and they've already figured out,
SpaceX.
Right, including SpaceX, that they've figured out that they do have the technology necessary to make this happen. And it's actually in a relatively small time frame. I mean,
right.
by 2023, that's 11 years.
But you're right. I mean, the technology is there. It's completely different from the planetary resources idea with the mining of the asteroids and things like that, where they have to still develop the technology and figure out how they're going to do that. I mean, the technology for this is already there. I mean, they've got to fine-tune some things and work out the logistics, but they can make it happen. And the timetable seems pretty rapid, but I think it's realistic.
I hope so.
I'm not going to sign up.
I'm not signing up either.
But it's cool, and I'll definitely follow it.
Exactly. NASA scientists may have discovered life on Saturn's moon Titan. Researchers used data from NASA's Cassini spacecraft to study the chemically complex surface of Titan. Based on their research, scientists say it's possible that a primitive, exotic form of life or precursor to life may exist on Titan. This research is outlined in 2 separate papers, one in the journal Icarus and one in the Journal of Geophysical Research.
The research published in Icarus concluded that hydrogen gas found in Titan's atmosphere disappeared at the moon's surface. And as the Telegraph explains, this suggests that alien forms could be breathing on Titan. Similarly, the paper published in the Journal of Geophysical Research notes a lack of the chemical compound acetylene at Titan's surface.
Chris McKay, an astrobiologist at NASA Ames Research Center, explains that this lack of acetylene is important because the chemical would likely be the best energy source for a methane-based life on Titan. Scientists believe that life on Titan would consume hydrogen as life on Earth consumes oxygen.
Cassini also detected the presence of something appearing to be organic, like an organic compound on Titan's surface that has scientists completely unable to identify. That's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
But McKay explains the significance of these studies, stating, if these signs do turn out to be a sign of life, it would be doubly exciting because it would represent a second form of life independent from water-based life on Earth.
Although this new information suggests the existence of extraterrestrial life on Titan, Daryl Strobel, a Cassini interdisciplinary scientist at Johns Hopkins University who authored the paper with the hydrogen study, explains the new hydrogen findings are consistent with conditions that could produce an exotic methane-based life form, but do not definitively prove its existence.
Cassini will fly by Titan many more times and will hopefully be able to provide additional information, and I really hope it does. What would be really cool is for a Titan lander to be able to get down and scoop some stuff up and do some more testing on the surface.
Yeah, obviously if they've spotted something they think is an organic compound, that's what would need to happen to test it.
Right.
To go sample. And I think the headline of this kind of got a lot of people off guard because people were like, well, then they definitely have discovered life on another planet, which not yet, but the possibility that something there is alive.
Right, there are definitely the signs there that point to it, and this isn't the first discovery they've made that hints towards that. And they've had similar things closer to home on Mars again. There are so many moons and planets in our own solar system that have these indications that could point to life existing on these worlds, but until we're actually there and we can find out for sure, we just don't know. We just have these tests, these indicators, and that's all we have to go on.
It's one of those seeing is believing
right.
sort of points. But yeah, I mean, this could be very exciting, and hopefully once it circles a few more times, we might be able to find out a little more.
Hopefully soon.
Research suggests that humans and extraterrestrials could share the same DNA.
The Daily Mail explains that there are 20 standard chemicals that contain DNA from which human life developed, and researchers have already synthesized the 10 which are thought to have existed millions of years ago. These 10 are also thought to be the most likely found on meteorites. According to Ralph Pudritz of McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario, these 10 are simpler, need less heat, and lower pressure than more complex acids, meaning they are more likely to survive in hostile environments, leading him to believe that this may implicate a universal structure of the first genetic codes anywhere.
The Daily Mail interprets Pudritz's research to mean that extraterrestrials might resemble humans in appearance, but similar DNA does not equate to similar appearance necessarily. As SETI Institute senior astronomer Seth Shostak pointed out to Wired in May 2012, 80% of a pumpkin's DNA is identical to human DNA.
Not all humans look like pumpkins.
Well, some do.
Some do, not all. In 2011, Shostak was also asked during an interview with Popular Science to speculate about the appearance of extraterrestrials. He commented, If you just go to your local zoo, you'll find that there are a lot of different shapes and designs that work even here on Earth. Most of the things at the zoo don't look like us. We're one design that works. Our chimp pals sort of look like us, so that's a different take on the same basic design. But fish don't look like us, and giraffes don't. They look a little like us, but not too much. And insects certainly don't look like us, and they work just fine.
Irene Chen, a systems biologist at Harvard University, told the Daily Mail that Pudgett's research is interesting, but difficult to analyze without experiments to back it up.
Again, an example of a study here, and when you're dealing with extraterrestrials, it's hard to produce anything conclusive.
You know, I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
I don't really have two comments on this because it's just, I mean, we've seen that obviously if DNA came from meteorites, it could be all over, and different life forms, single-cell organisms, and bigger life forms, they could look like anything. They
really could, and Shostak's point is great that even right here on our one planet, things look so different. We have such a variety here.
Yeah.
So to assume that things coming here from, I shouldn't say things, but extraterrestrials coming from another place to here saying they're going to definitively look like us or aren't going to look like us, I think we have to assume that there's going to be a large variety.
Right.
I think they may look like us. Some may look like us, some may not.
Yeah, never know. And I mean, there's that study again about the fact that the different strands of DNA or amino acids could have landed on different planets to where dinosaurs could be an intelligent species living on another planet. So, I mean, maybe T-Rex is going to come down and come out of the spaceship.
It's always a possibility.
Now let's talk with our guest today, Ben McGee.
Well, we are excited to have on the show today Ben McGee. Ben, thanks so much for being on the show.
Sure, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Ben you're a scientist, Ben, and even cooler than that, you're a principal research scientist and founder of your own company, the Asteroid Spaceflight Consulting Company. Now, just saying that sounds awesome. So, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about Asteroid Spaceflight Consulting.
Yeah, sure. Asteroid, essentially, you might have noticed there's a lot of buzz about SpaceX's recent flight, commercial space, new space. So the idea that private industry is moving into space exploration, and that's really where we came in. We're targeting all the little niche services that nobody else is really thinking about right now, like pre-flight fitness training for space tourists or space researchers who haven't spent their entire lives trying to be astronauts. Well, it's a pretty expensive ticket, and if you're losing seconds because you don't feel very good because you're not in very good shape, that costs you lots of money. So we're targeting that. Things like radiation dosimetry. You're out of the atmosphere. You're exposed to the giant gravity-driven thermonuclear fusion reactor in the sky. We call it the sun, but that's really what it is. And people aren't thinking about these things, and we're hoping to lead the pack and be out there and help people maximize their time in space is our motto.
You guys are certainly at the forefront. I mean, you're getting on this at the right time, and with SpaceX hopefully successfully completing their full mission, that's just going to blow the doors open, I think, to a lot of other companies.
Yeah, and like you said, blow the doors open. I mean, all eyes have been on this one, and there are lots of other companies that have been waiting in the wings to see if their business plan really can work or if they should back off. And I think you're right. I think, given SpaceX, if they do have a fully successful mission, we're just going to see a lot of activity. It's a really exciting time.
Yeah, definitely.
Good time for business for you.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, definitely. I think you guys are there. That's pretty exciting. So you're a scientist, Ben, and I've got to ask this, because something that we're really interested in here is the search for extraterrestrial life. And with a lot of these missions taking place in commercial space, there's so much more of that, and it's really opening up everywhere, and a lot of exciting things are happening. And I'm curious to know from you as a scientist, what is your thought on the search for extraterrestrial life?
Well, this is it's a non-trivial question. There's an interesting tension right now in the sciences even between people who think that extraterrestrial life is common and people who think that it's not. And there are good reasons to think either way. On its face, there's an old-seated conceit that we have that humans are special in the universe, and it's been that way for millennia, and we feel that we have a privileged position in the universe, which we are now, over the past few centuries, have been learning is not true. There are lots, the sun doesn't go around us, we go around the sun, and we're finding thousands of thousands of candidate planets around other stars that could potentially be starting places for extraterrestrial life. So with that, you have the Drake equation, which is really a formula, but it's an equation. And if you put even small numbers in there, given the amount of time that's available and the number of places life could have evolved, that argument says there should be life everywhere. The galaxy should be teeming. But on the other hand, you've got the Fermi paradox. Enrico Fermi, who was one of the fathers of our nuclear industry, he also dabbled in this idea of, what is the probability of extraterrestrial life? And he said, okay, given the idea of something like the Drake equation, if there is life everywhere in so much time, why aren't we receiving radio signals from every direction from alien life, civilizations? Why isn't there a new spaceship landing on Earth every week from somewhere else? And so that sort of silence is called the Fermi paradox. And somewhere between the two, the truth is. And that's why I think, for me, I don't want to wait for the evidence to come to us. I want to go out there and get the evidence. So I believe in a very robust space program and space exploration and human space exploration. And I think that's where our answers are going to be. But I think there are good reasons to believe both that life is common and that it's rare. And in both cases, we're pretty important.
All right. Well, so in your thought, what is the first thing and the most probably most likely place that we are going to find life in? What sort of form do you think is going to be the first thing we discover?
That's an interesting question, because I'm actually way on the fringe. What got me involved in this sort of work is, like you mentioned, the work that I've done on xenoarchaeology. And that's a hypothetical sort of archaeology that would relate to something we find in another world. And my point was, if you look at the span of time that's available, we know that the universe is very old. We know that the solar system is very old. There's plenty of time for life to have evolved, developed something, and then been completely wiped out. We know that it's a threatening environment out there. There are novas, there are asteroid impacts, things that could literally, in our own history, have caused life to go extinct. So I actually think that the first evidence we're going to have of extraterrestrial life is going to be an artifact. It's going to be some relic of extinct life, not necessarily living life. I think it's sort of, a perfect storm to say that we happen to be alive at the same moment that they happen to be alive when you're looking at billions of years of history, and that we find each other at the same moment. I think the definitive proof is going to be something like an artifact.
Well, and we are located in Arizona, and we're proud to have Professor and astrobiologist Paul Davies at Arizona State University. And just at the end of last year, he and a research assistant, not Robert Wagner, that's an actor, something like that, co-authored a paper together, basically calling on people to look at the moon for evidence, traces of extraterrestrial life, former extraterrestrial life being there.
Yeah, it's funny. You read my mind. I was actually going to bring up that same paper.
Oh, right.
I'm not the only one thinking of this. Paul Davies, like you said, at ASU, it's what did he call it? His paper was it was an Acta Astronautica. It was called Footprints of Alien Technology, and then he followed that up with the idea that sure, we need to be looking at the moon. There was another paper I wanted to bring up. The main guy out of the Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, they did a statistical analysis of the solar system and said, have we really looked at enough of space and the surface area of the worlds, the moons and planets here, to make the definitive statement that there isn't evidence that something else arose and then got wiped out? Are there artifacts in the solar system? And they concluded that statistically, no, we haven't checked out enough of the solar system yet to say one way or another whether there's evidence sitting right here in our own backyard. So, I think, again, we need to get out there. We need to start collecting physical evidence out in the field on other worlds, and even citizen science, like Paul Davies said, have people sitting at their own computers, look over lunar reconnaissance orbiter footage or imagery, and maybe they'll make a big find on their own.
Well, Paul Davies, even prior to his statement about looking at the moon, he suggested that we should look
in our
here.
noses.
Well, in our noses, yeah, right here on Earth. So
yeah.
Yeah, so the short answer to the question is, I really do think that the possibility for extraterrestrial life is good. They're organic molecules that we know about, basically seeded all over the galaxy. We're seeing it in molecular clouds. There are amino acids that we've seen out there naturally forming. So, the real trick from a scientific perspective, as a scientist, is right now we only have one data point. We only know about us, our life that exists. So you can draw a line through that goes any number of directions. Even if we found one other kind of life, even just a little, a microbe on Mars or something, that would give us something else to sort of anchor the science and start really filling in hard numbers in these formula areas in the Drake equation and start saying, okay, what are we really talking about? But right now, there's a data gap. So we need to get out there and look.
Well, speaking about closer to home, I want to bring up the topic of UFOs because I know that just last week, the NatGeo, the National Geographic Channel, announced that you will be starring in a new show about UFOs.
Yeah, that's true. It's called Chasing UFOs. I'm lucky enough to be on the research team, and I bring the scientific / semi-skeptical pair of eyes to the team, and it was great fun. I can't wait to see it myself.
Well, Jason and I are going to get some advanced episodes to screen. So
I haven't even gotten an advanced copy.
Well, not yet. We haven't got it yet.
We'll see if we actually get it. But if we do,
right.
That means we're more important than you are. I don't know.
So we're very excited to check it out.
Yeah,
definitely.
we're thrilled. They're going to send us a couple episodes. We'll check them out and let everybody know what we think. But I'm really looking forward to this show. James Fox is on there, and James is a good buddy of ours. So I don't know. I'm curious and excited to see how NatGeo did with this show, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was really an education for me because ultimately one of the things that attracted me to the project was the idea that, the scientific establishment doesn't go ahead and endorse that we are being visited, but at the same time it is open to the idea that extraterrestrial life exists. Mm-hmm. And, I felt there was a real opportunity for, one, me to help explain why. Why is it that the scientific community hasn't been convinced, and help illustrate the process. And then take a look for myself, see if there's any exotic evidence at these sites that suggests that something happened. But all the people who are interested in UFOs, I think, are done a great disservice when scientists don't engage. They kind of brush it off. These are all people who are asking, in my opinion, the right questions. Are we alone in the universe? What's going on up in the sky? What is the possibility of extraterrestrial life? And, I think we as scientists actually have a social responsibility to help explain what it is that science knows and what is hypothesized and what's possible and what's not based on the data. And this was a fantastic opportunity for, I think, me to get out there and learn a lot, because truthfully, I didn't know a lot about UFO lore and some of the more famous cases. And, to have the opportunity to actually go out to the middle of the desert. I'm a field guy, so collect samples, actually do in situ measurements, and see what the data tells us. That was pretty exciting. I think it's going to be really fun.
Well, I have a feeling I'm asking a question here that is a question that cannot be answered, but I'm dying to know if during your experience on this show, you experienced anything that convinced that we are in fact being visited. Now, I'm sure you can't answer that question because that's a spoiler.
Yeah, I should probably plead the fifth right now. So that
all right, we'll have to save that for another show. Darn, I had to try.
that close.
Yeah. All right, Ben. Well, we have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. This is exciting, and we'll have you on again, like I said, after the show airs so we can talk a little bit more about that. And, I certainly have some stories to share from the time that we spent together, and that was a lot of fun. So we'll talk about that more later. And like you said, as the SpaceX mission wraps up and things start progressing that way, I think things are going to get hopefully a lot more exciting for Astro Right Spaceflight Consulting. And it's a pretty exciting time right now.
Yeah, and just to let everyone know, the show airs, I believe, June 29th is when it premieres?
Yeah, yep, that's premiere.
On NatGeo. So check it out.
For sure. 9 o'clock.
1
All
o'clock.
right. Thanks a lot, Ben. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ben.
Cool. Thank you guys very much. Pleasure to be here.
Take
Yep.
care. On this show, we like to highlight upcoming events we think you'll be interested, like these. June 22nd through the 24th, the SETI Institute presents SETICon 2. The event features an impressive lineup of speakers, including diverse and distinguished scientists, astronomers, astronauts, and artists, authors, and actors who have made an impact in the world of real and imagined science. Find out more at SETICon.com. The 2012 MUFON Symposium will take place the weekend of August 3rd through the 5th at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center in Covington, Kentucky. This year, they pose the question, UFOs, friend or foe? Do we know what they are? And if they are not from here, then where are they from and why are they here? You can see the speaker list and find out more at 2012symposium.mufon.com. The 22nd Annual International UFO Congress will take place February 26th through March 3rd at the Fort McDowell Resort and Casino in Fountain Hills, Arizona. With over 20 speakers, vendors, a film festival, and more, this event is one not to miss. Super early bird registration is open now through September 1st. Register and find out more at ufocongress.com.
We've reached the end of another episode of Spacing Out. Be sure to visit openminds.tv for all the latest news. Join us again next week for our discussion with filmmaker and star of the new NatGeo show, Chasing UFOs, our good friend James Fox.
Thanks for joining us. Remember to like this episode on YouTube and comment on the episode as well. We value your feedback and would love to hear from you. I'm Maureen Ellsbury.
And I'm Jason McClellan. We'll see you in the future.